I think it's easier now for us to go back and tell the story, and to tell the story because of the size that we're at. I think it'd be a lot harder to do if I was just starting out with, doing $20,000 a year in revenue or something
Right.
like that. Like that would be a lot harder, but the power of, being consistent. And I think that's the main message that a lot of marketing gurus are pushing, is like, just stay top of mind with people. And that's the value of posting on your stories and different things like that, like whatever your brand is.
Welcome to the Premium Mindset, the weekly podcast where homegrown entrepreneurs and business owners, Evan Ritchey and Cameron Bawden, share the good, the bad, and the ugly of modern entrepreneurship and reveal what really happens behind the scenes of their personal and professional lives. As owners of two of America's fastest growing and most disruptive companies, Coconut Cleaning and Green Mango Pest Control. Stay tuned for real stories, struggles, insight, and advice from real entrepreneurs in real time.
So something that you started, how long you been here, Lexi?
It's like 3 months.
She said 9
3 or 4
months.
months now.
Yeah, I'm thinking, a couple months. So Lexi's been here 9 months, right? And you were on a mission to start telling the story of the last 13 years, but also what the next few years is going to look like, right? Mm-hmm. And I know that wasn't easy for you. Regardless of what people might think as far as like you being the face of, no, but like, hear me out. This is a compliment. With you being like a picture face of the company, there's just a whole different game when someone's following you around, recording and, showing all the interactions you have with people. And I know it wasn't easy, and it hasn't been easy to have this done. Mm-hmm. And, you said here and there, like, hey, like, I need you to participate here and there. And what I'm seeing a lot on social media, and it could just be because I'm in the vacuum chamber of this topic, is that companies whose owner is essentially not necessarily the face in terms of assets and copy and all that, but is telling the story of the company, their sales increase by like 65% when the owner is sharing their story on social media.
65%.
Correct. It does. There's no time frame where it says that this is when the 65% happens. However, what I am seeing is that when you create a personal brand and become associated with also the company that you own, that they're interchangeable, and that some people just stay faithful to Green Mango because, like, I know Cam's like, I went to high school with Cameron, but also I am seeing this I don't necessarily know, but this like trade of time, where a lot of other small business owners and other people are saying, I want to get to know Cameron and I want him to see what I'm doing. And there's this collaboration happening where I see a lot of small businesses starting to work closer together. And I feel like a lot of these small businesses are feeling a pinch. And so what I think you've done that's been great is like, you've built this business first, and then you kind of came out and said, hey, here's what our story has been. This is what we're doing now. And this is, a direction of where we're going. And I feel like watching that, being in the business, but also like as your partner kind of outside looking in, it's been super neat to see this guy at Home Depot. I was wearing this exact shirt, so Lexi can pan to the shirt. And this guy goes, is that Cameron? And I didn't know what he was talking about at first. But I'm like, what? He goes, is that Cameron, the owner of Green Mango? I said, oh, yeah. He's like, obviously it's a skeleton, but is it Cameron? I said, yeah, it's Cameron. So there's been this huge flip where it's a lot of your friends. That's how you built Green Mango, friends, family, networking. But now you have strangers of Green Mango, of customers that are very aware of who you are and can say your name. And they're calling into the CSRs and saying, does Cameron know about this? And it's been cool to see you grow this brand and have it. So the question I wanted to ask is, as you've started this like pursuit of sharing the story and what you're up to, how have you changed the systems and operations in the brand of Green Mango?
How have I changed the systems and operations in the brand of Green Mango?
Yes.
Do you think I have?
Yes. It's not a loaded question per se, but I feel like what has been interchangeable with you doing this brand and people knowing you personally, and now people saying, oh, I have Green Mango. Now this guy, that's the owner. You've been a lot more adamant about the 1-star reviews, a lot more adamant about negative feedback that you're getting straight to your DMs now from people saying, hey, like, or positive feedback. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
How has your approach here changed with Green Mango since you've started telling the story?
That's why I don't, maybe subconsciously it has, but I haven't noticed anything. That's why I'm curious to see. Like, I've always cared about 5-star reviews and all those things, but yeah, I don't know if it has.
Okay. So
that'd be interesting because you have that outsider's perspective. So I'm more so curious, like, what you've seen.
yes. Okay. So small business owners out there, what I've seen from Cameron being in the business of Green Mango, being his business partner at Coconut, is that since he has started the story or started sharing the story of Green Mango, and huge shout out, just always a reminder, Lexi behind the cameras, who is working with Cameron and, working his social media and helping us here at Green Mango just with our brand overall and at Coconut as well. Here's what I've noticed is that people even here more than ever, because of the podcast and because of what you're doing on social to show the side, have seen a connection between their input and what it does to Green Mango. And then as far as you telling the story, I think it's allowed people to appreciate everything a lot more as far as where you've come from, where you are, where you're going.
Yeah.
But how I feel like you've enhanced what you've done is I feel like you've taken a greater sense of responsibility to address every shortfall of the company and remain within integrity when people feel slighted. I can't explain it directly. It's just people associate you with Green Mango now more than ever. And what I've seen happen with you as you tell this story is that there is no difference between Green Mango and Cameron. If I'm changing something operationally, it's this idea of like, well, I'm following Cameron. So was Cameron behind this too? Like there's very little difference that people associate with Green Mango and with you now.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the whole intent. Maybe that's just how we justified putting ourselves out there at first, is that like we wanted the communication to become better for our employees. Like that was our biggest complaint with the company, is that, hey, by the time like Cameron put out a policy to when it got rolled out to the technicians, like either we didn't understand it or it's just like something completely different.
Yeah.
So this was a way for them to hear, from the horse's mouth what we wanted. And that's like, I feel like that's improved a ton. And that's and I told Lexus, like, of course I want to increase my following and all those things, but if we can improve the morale and the understanding of where we're wanting to take the company because we're doing the podcast, because we're sharing the story, like we won. And obviously it's motivated other business owners and inspired other people. And that's been the fun part of it. But like the whole idea behind it was so that people understand, like, when we roll out a policy, the why behind it. We're huge on why. And we've talked a lot about that on the podcast.
Have you noticed interactions with people that you don't have as deep rapport start at a much faster rate because they've been...
Well, that's what's cool. Yeah. People, even like strangers, like, hey man, I saw that you were doing this, like talk to me about that. And so it sparks that business conversation a lot faster at those events. And like people just like complimenting on like, oh, I saw you did that game with your employees, or, they'll be talking about the switchover campaign, and it allows people to ask, questions faster and get to the point of knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because before, and I was thinking about that, I'm like, I think it's easier now for us to go back and tell the story, and to tell the story because of the size that we're at. I think it'd be a lot harder to do if I was just starting out with, doing $20,000 a year in revenue or something like that. Like that'd be a lot harder. But the power of, being consistent, and I think that's the main message that a lot of marketing gurus are pushing, is like, just stay top of mind with people. And that's the value of posting on your stories and different things like that, like whatever your brand is for personal. We've tried to have a mixture of like business, hobbies, family, like hit all the buckets that are important in my life. And, Green Mango is obviously a huge bucket, but like I also want to talk about like the fun and the work-life balance and like the sports and the fitness and the family and all that, all those different things. So it's been a fun like mixture of both, because then when I get to meet with people, and this is where I didn't expect it would help the most, but as I meet with investors, when I'm raising money, like everyone does your research. And so if you're putting out all the content that basically like you want, not like you don't want them to see, but like the good stuff,
Right.
Whether if there's something like, if you only had 3 videos of yourself out there and one of them was like okay version of you and the other 2 were like a good version, like they're only going to see those 3 videos.
Right.
But if you have all this content out there and it was talking about business and it was talking about just whatever you're putting out there, like your chances of success increase big time.
Right.
And that's the value that I've seen with these investors. Like the credibility is absolutely phenomenal, and they know what, like, hey, you were talking that you were struggling with this, because I'm, that's one thing that we've been true to ourselves with this show, and I think it's resonated with a lot of people, is like, I just love how true you guys are. Like, we're not trying to come on here and just talk about all the wins and how everything's going like perfect. And like the past 4 or 5 months, like it's been pretty rough for us, and I feel like we've done a great job sharing as much as we can. And there is a filter there that you have to have, but like investors can come in and talk about that too. Like, hey, you struggled with this and you got over it now, like talk to me. Or are you through it? And no, I'm not, or yes, I am.
Right. And I think what's been cool too, and I'm sure you experienced this at, much higher level, but I had a customer maybe 2-3 weeks ago. They didn't have the best experience with us, and he DM'd me.
At Green Mango or
coconut? Sorry, yeah, coconut.
I figured. Keep going.
And he DM'd me. So rather than follow the regular pipeline of 1-star review and, call some stranger and hoping to get a manager, this guy's like, hey man, like I watch your podcast and I just feel like I experienced a moment with your company that isn't what you would approve of. And like, I appreciated that so much, because I think there's this natural insecurity where, and I told Lexi this too, which is so freaking funny, and you don't care, but we had this one comment on YouTube that called us Beta Bezos.
What does that mean?
Like the wannabes.
Oh.
And I'm
I
like,
want to be Bezos.
right. But like, I read it because I'm thinking my mom maybe posted that. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then there's like, forget these Beta Bezos guys. I'm like,
hey, the forget
do you
hurts,
have
man.
any idea?
The forget hurts.
Right? Like, but do you have any idea? So what I think is so cool,
that's why I just don't read the comments. You're better off.
I'm not doing it no more. I'm not reading any comments anymore. But what I think is so cool to all the people that may listen is, even if you are at the $20,000 a year, start sharing the journey.
But why do you say that? And I agree with you, but I think it's a lot harder. But why? Like, why?
So the reason this is fresh for me is that Coconut is 7 years in, multi-million dollars in revenue. However, we have these franchisees out there, and they see me doing this content. And what was so funny is that we started recording content to give to the customers to explain our Coconut Club and to welcome them to Coconut. And me being like, hey, this is so cool. You guys need to do this, but as the owners of your franchise. And they all said, it's okay, we'll use your video. Like, you can be the owner of like Dallas, or you could be, I said, no way, man. You guys have to do it. It's super fun. Your people get to know you.
Super fun.
But I talked to all of them and they said, we don't want to do the camera. But there was and I won't say who because I don't want to give them any attention, but there was one franchisee who had a competitor follow me and on Instagram. And his content was solid. And he's smaller than our franchisee, but he makes himself look bigger. And he's talking to customer. He's getting testimonials. Hey guys, I just cleaned this person's couch. I'm here with the customer. Tell me what you thought of the experience. And it's just, you can tell he probably has one van, but every time I go look back at his social media, it's like 1,000, 1,600, 2,200, and he's already surpassed that franchisee for like followers. But this franchisee is like, oh, I don't want to like share my story. So long answer, as I always do, is that I think congruent to the amount of people invested in your journey now is the equivalent to when they only have 20 followers. And if you have 4 people behind you that can see, dude, crappy day, a technician got in a car accident, I don't know what's going to happen to the vehicle. I'm working on a rental. More to come.
I know we're talking about like personal brand and stuff here, but like just hearing that story, I have no clue who you're talking about. But that stuff just like pisses me off, because like your job as an entrepreneur is to do the things that you hate.
Oh, that
Like,
they don't want to do the videos.
Nothing was more uncomfortable for me besides hiring Lexi and getting in front of the camera and starting to tell my story. Like it is
like you'd go
uncomfortable.
knock for
I would do
hours.
I would
on
almost
end.
do anything besides
Talk to strangers.
besides hold a snake. And Dusty made me do that in a photo shoot.
Oh, that's right.
But it's like, you do things that you hate. Like that's your job. That's what you're signing up for. So like, get over it. Like we sucked at podcasts. We probably still suck, but you know, like, it was pretty horrible the first couple of months of getting like into flow and talking and all those things. Like you're going to get like what you do time and time again, like you'll become better at it. And that's the thing. And so if you're an entrepreneur out there, like, I don't want to do this because it's uncomfortable. It's like, that's the very thing that you should be doing. Right. And it's the same thing with anything in life, with working out, with spending more time with your family, more day, like whatever it is. If you feel like, I don't want to do this, it's uncomfortable, this isn't me, like go freaking do it. If it's going to help you become a better version of yourself, if it's going to help you in revenue and all the little things. And that's top of mind. Like, and also like be vulnerable. Hey, we have 2 vans, but let me tell you what, like we're focused on giving the best customer experience at the most competitive prices you've ever seen. Like, let me take care of you. Like, I want to sign up for that guy.
I love that.
And that's why that's my only critique about having such a big company now. And, you know, it's all relative, right? But in order for us to swing the ship, it takes forever.
So bottom line, whether you're doing $20,000 a year, $20,000 a day, whatever it is, my advice is that you do whatever you can right now to start sharing a little bit of the story, because I'm sure even Cameron can look back at this video in 5 years and see that where Green Mango is at was still just a small fraction of where it's going to be. So your brand should be closely tied with your business, and putting yourself out there either way, as far as who's going to resonate with you are the people that are going to be in your tribe and they're going to support you along the path.
I'm just going to share a quote with Ben Christensen, but like the thing that helped me, because everyone that's putting themselves out there on social media, like is scared that they're not going to get received. And one of the things that Ben Christensen, when he was talking about personal brand, because I feel like he's done it better than most people, is like, you're doing it for that one person. If it helps that one person, like you won. And I think if you have that mentality when you're doing your little videos or you're doing your little, you know, whatever promotions, like do it for that one customer that's going to sign up that day or that week or whatever it might be.